If you're training for an Ironman and you're over 60, please stop wasting time on these specific workouts. The problem is, with most training plans, they're written for younger athletes. So they're not for folks like you and me in our 60s. And the reason is that there's too much intensity, which means there's not enough recovery. And because older athletes like us, well, we have different needs. Now, the trap is that a lot of athletes will do what they've always done, which means trying to do the hero weeks. So there'll be massive volume spikes, and which looks impressive on Instagram and Training Peaks and Strava. And the trap is it leads to fatigue, to illness, to injury, and eventually a lack of progress. So, instead of that approach, you need to have a different goal. And that goal is consistency, which trumps heroics in just about every single situation. So what you're looking for is small, steady gains through sustainable training and no crash and burn. And this tortoise and hare diagram here perfectly illustrates that. You can see the crash and burn from the hare here. He has the blue line, trains well, his fitness is growing faster than the tortoise, but unfortunately he goes too far and he has a little crash and burn. Meanwhile, the tortoise is on a steady upward trend. Tortoise is in the lead for a bit, but then the hare, eager to get back at it, goes straight back into training, makes rapid progress, starts getting a bit fitter than the tortoise, but then has a bigger crash and burn. And so on and so forth. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Meanwhile, the tortoise, more measured, consistent approach, happy to see slow growth over many months or years, and in the long run, actually makes better progress. Now, that's exactly the sort of approach that older athletes need. You can't afford to get injured, because when you do, you lose your fitness a bit quicker than when you were younger, and it takes you quite a bit longer to get that fitness back. So you need the steady and consistent approach. So here's some of the things that you should stop doing in your training. Random hit sessions. Now, there's nothing wrong with a Zwift time trial on a Tuesday or Wednesday night after work. The problem with those is that you can't really predict how hard you're going to be working, because it's often a race. If you're doing a group race, it'll be stochastic. You'll be racing up hills, you'll be trying to keep in with the pack. And whilst that's great for a heavy duty workout, and you'll see a lot of TSS points and a lot of work in zone 4 or 5, it's not specific to what you are wanting to achieve for your Ironman. So by all means do it in the middle of your base training, but once you start specifically focusing on that Ironman, you need to cut out the random hit sessions. You need to also remove those overly long brick workouts. I see some coaches giving people a 5-hour ride followed by a 2-hour run, because that's what they feel like their athlete needs to be doing on race day. And yes, of course it is, but if you do it in training, it takes so long to recover from a workout like that, that even if you are able to train a couple of days later, the workout isn't particularly good quality. So, over long brick workouts. Again, the intensity of the session, either in terms of the load or the actual training zone, means the longer recovery impacts other sessions, so you miss out on that consistency. Now, there's also such things as junk miles. Now, I know some people think that riding to work is junk miles, etc., etc. Junk miles to me are any training sessions that aren't thought out and have a specific goal. So if your goal is to ride to work every day, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, in zone 1 and zone 2, that's great, because you've thought about it and it's for a specific purpose. And you might even use that as a warm-up for your evening zone 3 and zone 4 session on Zwift. So nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that the work that you do has a specific purpose. Otherwise it is junk miles, and whilst you might have been able to get away with that when you were 30, it's not so easy when you're 60. So what should you do instead? Well, be smarter about your training. Zone 2 endurance is still important, although you'll probably have a good history of it. Zone 2 endurance is what builds the mitochondria to enable you, A, to function well as a human being now and in your later life, but B, to have those energy production cells that you will need on race day. And actually zone 2, particularly on the bike, is probably where you're going to spend a lot of your time on race day. So carefully constructed zone 2 workouts are really important. You also need lots of strength and mobility work. And as part of that strength work, I will be emphasizing some very well thought out plyometrics, some hops and jumps, things that are going to give you that flexibility and springiness in your ankles, knees and hips that you need on the run. And to help you recover from that training, then you do need to have weekly recovery days. Now again, you might have been able to get away without having a full recovery day when you were younger, but I think they're really important as you get older. It doesn't have to be a complete lazy day. You can go for a walk in the woods, you can do some stretching or some yoga. Just make sure that you have one day away from the aerobic workouts and you will really feel the benefit of that. And I would recommend a decent recovery block as well every 2 to 3 weeks of training. So that would be 3 to 5 to 7 days of really, really low intensity work. And I haven't forgotten this, and you're probably wondering why I haven't mentioned them so far. You need to do the right kind of HIIT workouts. Now, too much for me to talk about in one video, so I'm going to be talking about the sort of HIIT workouts that you should be doing on the next video, and I'm specifically going to dive into that. I'm going to come back to it in a minute. If you follow this sort of training program here, avoiding certain sessions and focusing on some other very specific sessions, and you are consistent with your training, you will get the adaptation, which means improved fitness and taking in the direction of your goal. And it means that when you step onto that start line on race day, you will be full of confidence. And that is the jackpot for an athlete, confidence on the start line, because it removes all of that anxiety about, did you do enough training? Will you have what it takes to hit your goals? Of course, there's a lot more to it than just getting the training right, and we'll cover that in future videos. But for now, make sure that your fitness training is of the right sort, at the right time, and in a well thought out manner to help you achieve your goals. Once you've done your race, of course, you can go back to having fun with your pals and doing some unstructured training. But if you want to have goals that you can achieve, you have to go about it in the right way. So, I mentioned those HIIT sessions. If you want to know which HIIT sessions really give the best return, if you're over 60, is it sweet spot work? Is it threshold, or is it VO₂ Max? Please subscribe to this show and then watch next week's video, where I'm going to be giving you the pros and cons of each of that and telling you which one of these is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Remember, is it sweet spot, is it threshold, or is it VO₂ Max? Thanks for watching. And don't forget to look out for the link in the video description so you can download my free 6-week plan for over 60s Ironman triathletes. See you on the next video.